Okay, guys, here it is, the big reveal, or maybe not so big reveal. But basically, this is kind of the point in which my channel changes or doesn't change. I think I've kind of been trying a couple different things to figure out what niche I want to kind of go towards with this channel, and I feel like this is just a very natural progression of ultimately what I want this to be. When I first started filming, I was doing a lot of gardening films or videos where I was kind of just playing around in the garden, but ultimately I didn't really know what I was doing with that, so I kind of just tailed off with that. And then I tried the whole Trader Joe's thing, but there's so many people within that market that it's hard to break into that. And also, I don't really want to just be lost in the crowd. I want to do my own thing and have my own stamp on YouTube. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but kind of have my own little market where I can contribute something different. So kind of as I was trying to figure out what I could do that would offer something, I kind of leaned back to cooking, where I love to cook and I love to play around in the kitchen to try to think of different recipe combinations, but also just keeping it simple and attainable for anyone to also do within their own kitchen. And one thing that I kind of thought about was, what if I do a farm to table channel where right now I don't have a lot in my garden still. I live on the East Coast and we're transitioning into our winter season, so it seems like kind of a weird time to be starting this, but also at the same time, I want to take this winter to really learn about gardening on the East Coast and how to get a better crop than I got this year. So one thing I learned this year is gardening is hard. There's no way around that. It does take a lot of time and investment, but I do think that it's something that does pay off because all the tomatoes in the sauce were from my own garden, which I think is such a cool thing. And as we're entering this stage where everyone's talking about rising grocery prices and how do we kind of combat that, it's really hard to combat it. But I think being able to use produce from your own garden is such a cool thing. So in the upcoming videos, I'm just going to be kind of talking about what I learned this year from doing my gardening, what I'm planning to do next year for my garden, and then also kind of posing questions to you of what do you guys know about East Coast gardening that I should know trying to go into next spring and preparing for the best garden I can have. So one thing you may have noticed at the top of the video is that all my tomatoes were different colors. So one thing I faced at the end of the season was we had highly fluctuating temperatures, and because of that, my tomato plant kind of stopped ripening the tomatoes on the vine, and at the end I had a huge bag of just green tomatoes. So one thing I learned this year is that you can take those green tomatoes, put them into a brown paper bag, and then they will ripen on your counter. So they've actually been on my counter for a while now, and they've just been slowly ripening, and some were ready and some weren't. So all I did was I took the reddest of the tomatoes and I put them into the saucepan, put olive oil, garlic, and a little bit of salt, and I sauteed them for about 5 to 10 minutes. From there, I put them into the blender. Next time I might use an immersion blender. I think it would get the seeds a little bit more and it would have a finer consistency because I didn't take the skins off of the tomatoes, which a lot of people suggested you do. So from there, I took the blended tomatoes, put them back into the stir frying pan, and then added some store-bought tomato paste. Then I added all my seasonings, which for this was just basil, garlic and onion powder, salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, and then some sugar to take away the acidity. Then, while I was preparing the little pizza strips, I just let that thicken and simmer on the stove for about 10 to 15 minutes. So this bread here was actually the inspiration for this entire meal. This is a new product from Trader Joe's, and I did want to give it a try, so I got this. And then there's this thing we have in Rhode Island called Italian style pizza strips, And if you've never been here before, you have to Google to see what those look like. But basically, the sauce is super tomatoey, garlicky, and then it's even got some grated Parmesan in there. So it's just like this really unique flavor. But that was kind of the inspiration for this. And these kind of wound up being more like just traditional pizza strips, not Rhode Island style pizza strips. But that was the base idea. So I'm sure people are going to be mad at me for cutting this bread the way I am, but it is what it is. It turned out pretty good, and I overall really enjoyed the bread. So then we just made normal little pizzas with sauce, cheese, and mushroom, and then we stuck them in the oven for about 6 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees until the cheese looked nice and gooey and delicious. So at the end of the day, this channel is going to be changing a little bit, but I think it's going to have a little bit more of a focus where I come up with ways to take kind of budget saving hacks, but also more directed towards a farm to table method where I'm going to be doing some research over this winter about how to make your garden stretch your dollar more when you're cooking in the kitchen. I want to look at hacks that they used during the Great Depression of kind of canning or preserving or just using those fresh ingredients more so that you're spending less at the store. Taking ideas from things we've done in the past and applying them now as we're seeing kind of this shift to rising prices and trying to fight that a little bit more. I'd also love to hear your feedback. What are your favorite money-saving tips or things you learned by gardening and trying to use more fresh produce from your own garden? Or on the flip side, what are some things that you want to learn how to do and we can learn how to do them together? Thank you so much for watching this video through to the end. Leave a comment of what you want to see, like, subscribe, and we'll go on this journey together. I'm excited to see where this takes us. I hope you all have a great week.